Brian, what are you expecting from Hull tomorrow?
I do hope they've been in a pub till Tuesday. They've got I think they've got a very credible chance of doing the double. So I think that'll be on their mind. I think last year, if I'm going to try and second guess what they went through last year they were just so pleased to win the Challenge Cup, and first time. For that group of players and the coach, it would have been something that I celebrated hard with, but I think this year they'll have a bit more about them. And I know it's a disrupted week and it's a short turnaround for them because they're playing on a Thursday. It's a big ask for them, to play in a Challenge Cup and then back up on a Thursday. But I think they'll be up for the game for sure. I don't think there'll be a problem with them being up for the game.
People will inevitably talk about the Wembley factor. You've been in their shoes as a player and coach several times. Is it more mental or physical, the ask, the challenge of backing up?
There is a physical part of it. There is if you win, it stays with you. The occasion stays with you longer, because simply you got to go do a parade with the cup, and then everywhere you go, people are talking about it. When you lose, everybody avoids you and nobody speaks about it. You don't get over it quickly, but you operationally you pretty much get over it on the Monday, Tuesday. You're back into work and everybody has a real focus for the game coming up. Now, even if you lose physically, you've still got to deal with that, and it is an hard backup. I don't think we've ever played any later than a Friday since I've been here as a coach. We've always backed up on the Friday, so it's always been physically tough. But emotionally, when you win, it's a big thing to come down from. Certainly on a Thursday night for all, I think that's a big call.
Take Wembley away from it. How significant a game is it on its own?
It is. I think we're 3 points clear at the moment. If we beat Hull, we get 5 points clear. It gives us a bit of distance there. With 6 points available, we're aiming to make second spot. So, yeah, this is good for us as well. It's something that we're really keen for as well. It's not we're not just waiting for Hull to be poor by any stretch. We want to be good, and I think just these next few games, it's a good opportunity to try and get some form, a bit of momentum behind you, leading into what's hopefully going to be a home semi-final.
Has the downtime served you well last week or so?
I'll tell you that after the game, the players have been good. They've come back in great nick and had a couple of good days training. To be expected. So I'm not going to tell you that they look brilliant, because they don't. They look good, and we'll have more of a discussion after the game.
What about the team news this week?
Yeah, Mitch Garbutt's back from injury, so he's going to sit on the bench there, I think, and Jimmy Kay misses out. So that'll be the only change from last week.
When you look at your 19, you've got with the exception of Keith Galloway, you've got 1 to 17, I think, available at the moment. How much of a boost is that at this point in the season?
It's great. Yeah, it is. I think it's a significant part. If we can keep that at least similar, very close to that going forward, it's for the next 4 games, maybe for the next 6 games. Who knows? Six games. That'll have a part to play. I think most successful teams, and most times we've entered finals, we've had close to our starting team there, and we've gone through all manner of injuries and different versions of different teams. But we've had 1 or 2 people missing in some finals, but we've had close to our starting team. I think what Wigan did last year, actually, with some injured people, was significant for them. I thought that was a big one from them to win the grand final with people missing. But for us, if we can keep that familiar numbers system, for our starting team, that'd be good.
Thank you, Ryan.
Brian, 2 good results against Hull in Super League this season, but obviously the defeat in the Challenge Cup. Was there a sense of maybe revenge for you guys to try and? That was just a blip.
There will be, but it's not high on the list. They played really well, Hull, that game, and I don't think we don't have anything against Hull on the day there. I don't think they were fortunate. I don't think anything to do with refereeing decisions. And I do still think that while there were some flat elements to how we performed, I don't think we were that bad. I just thought Hull were great. So, they're a good team, and every time we've played Hull, we even if we win, we know we're playing a good team. So some of the players will talk. We haven't talked about revenge this week. There's been nothing. We don't need to do that. There's a bit more at stake than beating Hull just for the sake of beating Hull. We want to beat Hull to get second spot. That's more important for us.
Ash Golding dropped recently, but has he showed sort of in trading that he's fighting to get back into that side?
Yeah, he is. He is. He's doing everything he can, and at the moment I think he's simply playing a waiting game. And if and when Jack Walker dips below the level of performance that's required, he'll pay the price in Ash Golding to be in. So it's a great position for me to be in. Not great for Ash Golding, and good for Jack at the moment. So we'll see.
Brian, big win of course against St Helens in an emotional night. With the break that came thereafter, arguably did it come at a bad time? And I know that speaking to some of the players this year as well, they feel that they've lacked consistency in some results. What's the key then to picking up where you left off?
No, I don't think the break came at a bad time. I think it wasn't a big night. It was a big night against Saints, and there were some critics of the standard of the game, a lot of drop ball in the game. There were a high number of play the balls in. I thought it was an intense game against St Helens, and a good one for both teams. Both teams tipped in. Both teams clearly need to be a bit more clinical with the ball, but that can happen. Yeah, and I think you could accuse us of not being as consistent as we'd all like to be, but I don't think we've been. I don't think that's been a standout element of our season, inconsistency. I think we've racked up a good number of wins. I think we've beat some top teams. But yeah, there's been some clunky moments, and we've had some scary moments during the year. But that's what makes a season, isn't it? That's what makes the journey so exciting, which I'm not trying to trivialise the tough moments there, but it's not all going to be perfect. And while we'd like to be great round 1 through to round 20, we don't need to be though. We don't need to be. So if we can be great for the next 6 rounds, that'll be good.
And at this point in the season and where you are, of course, in the table, do you think you've answered some of the critics from last year, and perhaps even those at the start of the season after the heavy defeat against Cass? Do you think you've answered those critics?
We're still answering, aren't we? I think I'm still answering some. I don't know. I'm not sure. You'd have to ask them. I got no drama with 2016. It's good. That makes a CV. I've said this to you personally before. That makes my CV. If somebody was to employ me and say, well, what have you done and how did you do it and do you think you're worthy of the job? Let's have a look at what you've done. I'm putting 2016 on there. It's a brilliant experience. Brilliant's probably wrong word, but it well worth going through that horrible year for some of the things that were out of our control. And I thought our club as a whole was brilliant throughout it, and how everybody dealt with it. Whether that was the management, the owners, or the administrators, the players and staff, just, I can't describe to you how much they had to keep composure that year. So, for us to then be in a level playing field with everybody else and, be vying for second spot right now, yeah, I'm proud of that. But I'd like it to be first though, so nobody's laid in bed thinking that's all right, that's good enough. That we're looking at Cass thinking, well, why aren't we as good as them? And that's what drags us out of bed earlier. So it's not easy, is it?
No, it's not. And with that in mind, looking ahead to the next few weeks, you're playing as it stands. Obviously, the other top 3 and the 4. How does your approach change with that? You're treating every game now as a grand final, as it were. What do you do differently with the players?
Well, it's interesting. Listen, if we beat Hull tomorrow night, we need one more win to secure a second spot. If we secure a second spot, then we can start to think and maybe have a look at how we view certain games. If we've made second spot, then the next signpost or flag that we pick up along the way is that semi-final, is that home semi-final, and everything's geared towards that. I'm not at any stage saying that the games in between that don't matter. Of course they do, and we want to win. We're winners. We want to win as many games as we can, but we've got to win that home semi-final. We want to get through to the grand final. I think that's a real, if you're talking about answering critics, that's a real moment for this group to make the grand final. And who knows what we do when we get there.
And finally, it might seem like a daft question, but with Cas being so consistent this year and doing as well as they have, and Hull winning the Challenge Cup, do you see yourself as amongst the favourites to reach the grand final, or as an outsider?
I don't know. I think we've got a good chance of getting there for sure. I think we've got a really good chance of getting there and winning. But so have Cas. I think Cas are really good. I think Cas are scarily good. They've got that form behind them. They've got that momentum behind them. They've got that. I think they've got that winning habit. So even in games where they're struggling, they can pull some stuff out. So they're a real threat. And as I've said earlier, Hull are credible as well. They're strong. Big team. Hull. If they get it right, well, I'm not sure how you deal with them. They're so big, and got between Watts and Taylor and Sneed, and some of the X Factor players, they've got some of those big men. If they get it right, I'm not sure what you can do against them. It's the aim is to get into them and not let them be as good as they can be. So there's a few different versions of what might happen towards the back end. Saints and Wigan are trying to make the four as well. Where Wakefield fit into all this as well is interesting, because they can be extremely good. So I think we can make the grand final and win it. But I'm also aware that, and I'm not just being polite, I think there's another 4 or 5 teams that can get there and win it as well.
And just an off-the-wall question, did you watch the fight over the weekend, and if you did, what did you make of that? Yeah. I don't know, it's a shame, isn't it? I'm a purist, I think, but I get why it happened, and I've not got a real problem. I've got no real issue that it happened. Those things happen, don't they? Not that everybody's bothered with what I think, but I think he did really well, Conor McGregor. I'll tell you now, if anybody in this room here was to just shadow box, all right, with discipline, not just dance about on your feet, but shadow box with a reasonable guard and keep your feet in a certain position, a certain distance away from you for 3 minutes, you'd start sweating. Now, if I get you to shadow box and have 45 seconds rest for about 6 or 7 rounds, and I'm only talking shadow boxing, moving about with discipline, hold your form, keep your body in certain positions, you'd find, I don't think you'd be able to do it, because that's the ultimate in conditioning. The boxing element is the ultimate. So you can imagine a bloke who's never boxed before. He's only ever done 3 5-minute rounds. Who goes and gets to round 10 of not just shadow boxing, but punching and being punched. I thought he did incredibly well. And Mayweather, I thought, could have ended it when he wanted to. So it's in the industry, it's the entertainment industry, isn't it? But I don't think it's done boxing any good whatsoever. What's the point? Everything happened what everybody thought would happen. He got no close. He didn't get anywhere near Mayweather. Landed a couple of shots, but 120 million in bank, is that what he got, or something like that? Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, good effort.
Thanks, mate.